Mashallah. Ndio let kama anaingia kwenye studio because it has been a long week jamani. It has been a long week. Nimechapa coffee ya right, ya left, ya juu, ya chini. Adulting jamani. Sasa tutaendeleaje hivi bwana? You know, to be honest, hata sijawa welcome. Bwana, where are my manners? Welcome again to another episode of the Cordial Podcast, Season 2, and we are on a new topic. But before that, let's go into the tea of the week, because to be honest, for a long time in my life, I have been struggling. I have been trying to run away from that phrase or that word that is called imposter syndrome. I have been running away. I don't even want to hear it. I don't even want to know its definition because I just don't. No, I can't. But let me tell you, this week it has hit me. Not kidogo, not too much. It has just hit me. Because in between the week, I was scrolling through Instagram and somebody's story. They had posted their friend who was nominated for this podcast, thing that was being done over the past couple of weeks. And there were a couple of podcasts that were supposed to be submitted to, judges are looking through it, and when you see the judges, I'm like, bro, these are people I would love to have conversations with, in regards to the podcasting industry. And I was there sitting now. I was like, hey, why haven't I seen this poster that required people to submit, their podcast for this particular, initiative that is happening to build up the industry? And I could see the participants because they were now having 11 finalists, and all of them had to post a video explaining of their podcast and where they see it going in the next couple of, days, months. And I was sitting there and I was like, yo, I am here. Hey, niko hapa karibia 1 year into podcasting, and how did I not see this opportunity? So it hit me hard that I probably, started questioning myself, thinking I'm not doing enough and all these things. And so it just hit me where hiyo ndio inakuanga imposter syndrome. So but we're still here. I am late. I am sorry that I have to apologize. I am sorry to upload this episode because I am recording it on a Saturday. Imagine the audacity. But this week has been hectic. I have not even had time to even think for myself. Imagine. That's how life has been for the past week. But welcome again. We are on another, series that we are going to break down. And as I mentioned last week on the last episode, we are talking about simping. And I know simping is this word, we've had it over and over again. You can go even and search it on any social media platform, and you will get a lot of posts that have talked about simping. So in this part 1 of simping, we are going to have a little breakdown of it and just understand what exactly is simping. We're going to define it, of course, clearly explain the term, and its cultural context. Then we were going to look at the origins of simping and try to, trace the evolution of the term and its usage in this popular culture. And then we are going to jump straight into the psychology of simping, trying to explore the underlying psychological factors that contribute to simping behavior. Then we are going to now look at the common simping behaviors, and try to probably identify and discuss specific actions or attitudes that are associated with simping. So I would love, of course, at first to give my own definition of simping, because when you look at it online, there are some people who are praising simping. There are people who are like, yeah, I would love a simp, all these things, trying to make that word look like something that describes a good thing. And to me, I usually don't like taking up popular trending words and incorporating them in my life and following the trends and all that. I love looking at such words and what is the reason behind it being called this way, and why is it being used right now, and where was it basically. And that's what we're going to do. But in my own case, I got to realize that simping is actually giving out energy that is not being reciprocated in any kind of way, or it's not being appreciated by actions. You get not words but actions. That is simping to me. Simping is me giving, and it's obviously from a romantic view, and you might be a person who's giving out this energy of always being caring, of always being there for somebody, of always showing consideration, showing that you're making decisions in hindsight where you have somebody in your life and you know that your actions will affect this other person, but in essence this other person does not take that kind of consideration in their lives, because probably they do not feel the exact same way, or they just do not know how to show emotions, which is quite sad in such a generation where we pride ourselves with knowing a lot. So to me, that is simping, and there is no way in my life I'm ever going to advocate for simping even one single day. I will never advocate for it. So even when somebody says they will love a simp, I'll be like, do you even understand what simping is first before you start saying you want a simp? Because that means you just want somebody to give you some kind of energy just so that you can feel like you're being loved, or you're able to just show it off and tell people, yo, I'm being loved by this kind of person, and not you taking it as a way of understanding that word and trying as much as possible to make your relationships not head in that way of any person in that relationship calling themselves a simp. So personally, I would not call myself a simp. I would never advocate for anyone to call themselves a simp, because it is really not the way to go in the society that we're living right now. Now, ladies and gentlemen, basically I've been trying to not have my podcast be some kind of news reading type of podcast. But day and day as I move on into researching this kind of topics, and I am forced to write down some things, I'm forced to do a lot of writing and understanding and getting definitions and getting all these things from the research that I do. So in the next part of it, where we are going to dive deeper into what I was trying to set up in the understanding of simping, I'm going to read out a really long essay that I've tried to write down, of course with the help of AI kidogo, to try and to refresh some phrases that I was writing down, because I needed it to be flowing, have all my thoughts flowing in some kind of way. So I had to write down the phenomenon itself of simping, my definition, and then with the help of AI, because there's really a lot of things we can do with AI. So I wrote down about simping, main functions of it, and I am going to try it out. So I'm going to read out what I have been writing down for. I actually did this a week ago, not even this week, a week ago, because I thought I will start doing these things in a better way and planning myself not to get late. But here I am, late again to record an episode. So we're going to dive right in and stop talking about excuses, because namna gani? So ladies and gentlemen, simping is a term that has gained significant traction in the contemporary vernacular, often carries a negative connotation. It refers to excessive flattery, attention, or servitude offered to someone, typically a romantic interest, in the hope of gaining their affection. While the term might seem humorous or derogatory on the surface, it reflects a complex interplay of societal expectations, psychological factors, and interpersonal dynamics. At its core, simping often stems from a desire for validation and connection. Individuals may feel a strong need to be seen, appreciated, and loved by others. When this desire becomes overly intense or focused on a particular person, it can lead to unhealthy behaviors. Simping can manifest in various ways, such as showering someone with gifts, constantly praising their actions, or going to great lengths to meet their every need. One of the underlying factors contributing to simping is the societal pressure to conform to traditional gender roles. In many cultures, men are expected to be providers and protectors, while women are often seen as objects of desire. This is a really bad way of looking at things that I have to mention. This can lead to men feeling the need to prove their worth by demonstrating their devotion to a woman. However, this approach can be counterproductive as it can create a power imbalance and diminish the individual's autonomy. Now, ladies and gentlemen, even before I continue, I would love to actually get it out straight that however much we have these traditional gender roles, I really don't like calling them traditional. I love seeing it as how we were created by God. There are some roles that are obviously done better when it's a particular gender doing it, because that's how it was created. We cannot argue about that. We can see the effects that come about with the roles, being done by either gender, But, as the world has been created, and lives have been created, people have died, people have created societies, communities, all these things. We are now coming up in a space in time where people are trying to really change a lot of things, to really change the quote-unquote traditional way of thinking. But in my case, I look at such things and I'm like, why is there a need to change these roles? Why can't we just appreciate people in the roles that they do, and not make it more of a competition or trying to see who does better or who can do better? Why not appreciate people from a point of, yes, you people are better equipped to do this? And I think that's one of the main reasons that bring up all these, interactions that we have and discussions and arguments about men and women and roles and all these things. It's because time after time, people are beginning to misuse all these things, to not appreciate people enough of what they're doing. And so when you're not appreciated enough, you're always questioning yourself, are you in the right way, doing things in the right way, or are you just not doing things as you're supposed to do? So you go out there and people are already advocating for you to quote-unquote find yourself, for you to quote-unquote find freedom, for you not to be defined by society constructs and all these words that come about in the society. And I really, for me personally, I have to sit down. I've always had to sit down every single day when there's a topic that is trending. Of course, people are discussing about. I always sit down and think, what exactly is this discussion about? Are people looking for solutions, or are people just out there just trying to argue and continue arguing without finding a solution? At the end of the day, I think I've mentioned in a lot of episodes, especially in season 1, my first episode, I was like, I love conversations where you bring about solution and not just conversations for people to argue and people to shout over each other and all those things, because there's no way we can build a community or a society at large without thinking of the repercussions of our actions and how we can move on as a humanity and become better. Now, unfortunately, if it was from my side of religious view and all these things that have shaped me up. When you look at the Bible especially, and talks about in the latter days people will be lovers of themselves, lovers of money, people who don't respect their parents, and you see all these things written in the Bible for years and years, decades, centuries, and I'm like, however much I would want to see a better community, I recognize that as days move on, it will be harder to do that, because everyone is after that freedom that is being advertised everywhere. Like, you can gain freedom, and nobody is really going out there and thinking, why exactly are we being forced into wanting to have a particular kind of freedom? Are we enslaved? Are we people who have that mentality of thinking that we've been enslaved by societal cultures and all these things? It's really depressing to even start thinking about that, because hey, maisha bana, where are we headed to? So yeah, so in relation to simping, I think it's a way that the society is moving right now, in a way that people think we can create another kind of norm or culture that can, quote unquote, save us from heartbreaks, save us from all these bad vices that we have outside here, or the experiences that we are having out here in romantic interest. So I'm going to continue because I've started yapping a lot anyway, and I don't want to derive myself away from our topic of the day. So psychological factors that also are also playing a major role in simping. Individuals with low self-esteem or a fear of rejection may be more prone to engaging in such behaviors. They may believe that by constantly catering to someone's needs, they can avoid being abandoned or criticized. Additionally, simping can be a form of escapism, allowing individuals to temporarily forget about their own problems and focus on someone else's. And I won't lie, I have actually experienced this kind of factor, because in some way right now people are jumping really straight into relationships day after day without even taking breaks, in the hope that of from one person to the other, you will find somebody who will cater to you as you've catered to the rest of people who you tried catering to. And I was listening to one of there's some videos I love watching of some Black Americans who talk about relationships mostly and what is really affecting our society. And there's this one guy who's called Trip, and he's always talking about things of how we should think about relationships, how we can think about them, and he has really good opinions. And recently he was mentioning that, let's say, people call these simps good people, and he was asking, how good are you that you compare or you define your goodness by the amount of people that you keep showing up for and they don't show up for you? How good are you? Is that being good really? Because if you're actually a good person, you should actually recognize that is not the definition of being good. Being good is also something that should come deep inside you, where you're good to yourself first before you give out that goodness. So in some kind of way, it looks like you have a mask of being good to people and not being good to yourself. And he was mentioning that being good to yourself will always involve also setting up boundaries, learning from each kind of experience, and you setting yourself up in a way that you can become good to yourself first before you even give out that energy to people. And I think that makes sense, because in this plight of people trying to show how good they are in relationships and all these things without them catering to themselves, then it becomes an issue. Because in some kind of way, with my belief of things start from a spiritual place before they manifest into the physical, then in the spiritual world, your goodness is not genuine. your goodness is not straightforward. Your goodness does not hold any foundation in the spiritual world for it to manifest into the physical, and from the spiritual to the physical. So in that way, it makes sense that there's no relationship that actually works, even for the simps, because you're not good to yourself first. There is no way you can give out good without having the source of it inside you. There is no way you can derive goodness from anywhere else, because now it only shows that you as an individual are lacking something for you to be always out there trying to save people, for you to be out there trying to show people or wanting them to validate you in some kind of way, instead of you actually having that validation with the actions that you have, getting that validation from the boundaries that you've set, getting that validation from the character that you've built with the experiences that you have. You might not be able to have good experiences 24/7, but it is much better to have a mindset where you have to create that energy inside you first. You have to create that character inside of you first before you can say that you can actually double it and give it out. You can know that you're fetching it from inside you and not from somebody else, or from the desperation of seeking that from somebody else. So it is important to note that simping is not always a conscious or intentional choice. It can be a subtle process that develops over time, often without the individual realizing the extent of their behavior. Recognizing the signs of simping and addressing the underlying issues can be challenging, but it is essential for maintaining healthy relationships and personal well-being. While the term simping may be used in a derogatory manner, it is important to approach the phenomenon with empathy and understanding. It is a complex issue that can be influenced by a variety of factors, including societal expectations, psychological factors that we've mentioned, and interpersonal dynamics. By recognizing the underlying motivations and addressing the underlying issues, individuals can develop healthier and more fulfilling relationships. So I know that feels like the ending to this particular topic, but there's really one thing I'd love to mention, where I think my largest lesson that I've learned when it comes to me being in school, and the biggest lesson that I learned before I graduated with my degree. But it is near a year since I graduated. But anyway, the biggest lesson I learned is there's always an issue behind the issue, and it is much better to seek for that underlying issue that is showing up as the issue on the surface. You get? So when I learned that, because it was in a class where this particular lecturer was always after our mindset. It is not even about what you're studying in the books or anything. He was always asking you questions that actually hit your subconscious mind, because you always ask yourself, okay, so there's an issue behind the issue, because you're given an assignment, being asked, please go and look for a topic to cover, and then you bring out the topics, and he's like, no, what was the issue? What is the issue inside that topic? And he actually breaks you down. Not even the topic, he breaks you down to a point where you actually feel like your mind is actually clogged in some kind of way, because you did not think deep enough. And it really got me into thinking of how I handle my life personally, and especially when it comes to life and the decisions that we make. So even as we are talking about simping as an issue, we obviously have to recognize the underlying issues, where we've talked about these people might be having low self-esteem, and if you mention that they have low self-esteem or they're seeking validation, then we also have to look at that as an issue that has an issue behind it. And in that issue behind it, you might look at something like childhood trauma. Somebody did not get this kind of upbringing that would have been healthy for them to actually recognize what being healthy is. And all this from the experiences that they have had, they continue having even in their adult life, teenage life, and all these things. So when you actually sit down and you start analyzing topics from that end, then you can also come into the introspection of your own life and thinking, why am I doing this? Why are my decisions always based on this kind of way? Why are my patterns of the life I live set up in this kind of way? Then from that point of view, then you can also now start striving to get better and do better and make better decisions, and also, of course, make new patterns, which is hard. As I've mentioned, it is really hard to reach at a point where in life you decide, I've been going this way, I need to make a full turn and go the other way, because you're fighting against now the current that you've been creating your whole life, and you're like, I have to fight through this. It is hard, and as I've mentioned we need to actually take up some topics and show empathy to the people who have been affected with such topics, especially when it comes to simping. As I've mentioned, we need to show love for the people who actually are healthy, so that our society becomes better and our society grows out of these toxic behaviors that we are currently normalizing as a society. It's really bad that we have come to a point like this as humans, but I always believe there are people who are actually seeking what true humanity is. I believe there are people who are after having a healthy kind of relationship with their own selves, a healthy kind of living, a lifestyle that does not involve conforming yourself to the new trends of things moving about and all these things, So that has been the the first breakdown of simping, and we are going to jump straight in next episode into understanding more about this simping and how exactly does it revolve around the world that we live in right now. I hope this has been a really informative episode. Thank you for listening through. I appreciate you taking your time to click on the Cordial Podcast wherever you're listening to. Might be Spotify, might be Spotify for podcasters, might be Apple Podcast. You can find them anywhere. And if this has been good enough for you, please do not share. Hii jiweke kwa handbag yako. No, si handbag. Jiweke kwa tote bag yako. Jiweke kwa backpack yako. And do not send it to anyone else. It has been a pleasure, guys. This has been episode 4 of the new season, and we are just fine. And just a disclaimer, I am fighting that imposter syndrome. Mimi hatutasumbuana na hizi vitu. It has been a pleasure, guys. Wow, close to 30 minutes. Damn. See you next time. I hope you have a blessed week. I hope you have a blessed evening, a blessed day, because you cannot let life hold you down. Please rise up and become better. Bye.